I'm in the present, no judgment, I'm here now. I'm in the present, no judgment.
Welcome back to Here Now Podcast with your host, JG Larochette. This is episode 10 of our podcast. And I say our with the real meaning of our. This is for you, the educator, the teacher, the principal, the counselor, the psychologist, the coach, the custodian, teaching assistant. We are building a community of wellness specifically curated and designed for our lived experiences as educators. And if you're joining us and you're not in the classroom or you're not a teacher, but you're benefiting as well, we're thanking you as well. You can find us on all major platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and beyond. You can find us on My For Life Project TV on YouTube. Again, spread the word. And please reach out to me via email at jg@mindforlifeproject.org for any comments, questions, content you want me to discuss. I want to build this with you, for you. Episode 10. Yes, we've made it all the way to 10 episodes, and we're grateful for your support. Today, we're going to be discussing prioritizing what matters. And I stop and pause there for a second because, there's everything matters to a certain level. But I don't know about you. For me, I recall many times where my conditioned mind would really focus on the negative, so right? And those negatives, they were challenges, right? But then I started really focusing on those things in a way of kind of being stuck and wrapped in them, not being able to move out of them. And as we've gone along the journey together here on Here and Now podcast, we've been cultivating this present moment awareness with kindness, without judgment, without criticizing, without needing to defeat ourselves and beat ourselves down, but to build this inner reservoir of being present with radical acceptance. And as we talk about prioritizing what matters, what we're talking about is really uncovering what is it that we want to focus our attention on, that we want to build this momentum with, right? So we can go down the road of the negative self-talk, the wishing things were different, the picking out all that's not going right. We can go down that path, right? Or we can go down the path of seeing those with discernment, non-judgment, and knowing that a lot of times those things aren't really the big picture. They may be details in the bigger picture, but the bigger picture is usually way better than what we're creating. So what does prioritizing what matters mean? To me, it means that we're able to see everything, our emotions, our thoughts, our inner experiences, our connections, and especially as educators, especially as coaches, as people who are around young people, right? It's easy to see the negative, quote unquote, right? It's easy to get stuck in that. But when we practice mindfulness, when we practice compassion, we're able to notice that oftentimes they're not that big of a thing. The thought that I have that's coming back that I'm not good enough, well, what are the facts, right? Have I been successful? What does success even mean? So prioritizing what matters, if you go deeper in, really is about the core aspects of what we want to live by and who we want to be and what we're using as our rubric of success, right? So for myself, how much am I present? How much am I able to meet moments with compassion? How much am I able to connect with those around me in transformational ways versus transactional? And when I see myself going to transactional because of stress response, right? That go, 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 get things done, the to-do list, how can I not judge it, bring compassion to whatever I'm feeling, and then cultivate this openness to come back to being really connected, right? And what matters, right? What matters? Love, family, connection, being able to build ourselves and others up, being able to be a bridge and not hurt and harm others. What matters really at the end of the day is often what we push to the side because we're so overwhelmed. We're so stuck in that negative bias that our brain has that we're really pushing those things that matter on the sideline, and we're focusing actually on the things that don't matter as much. And I might get in a little bit of trouble using this analogy for those out in education, but I'm gonna use it anyway. When I was teaching math, right, or reading or writing, did it matter what lesson and what ideas and what vision and how I create the delivery to be? Yes, that mattered. Because I wanted to engage my young people in that subject matter in a level that engaged, build momentum and motivation, made them want ownership and agency. So if I got stuck on this isn't going the way I planned it to, what was I missing? I was missing the actual opportunities to come back to what was alive. What resistance might there have been from students? What was I doing in terms of, was I walking through the lesson word by word? Was I reading from a script? Was I reading from that lesson plan? And was I missing what really mattered? Because if I focus on what really matters, right, the result of that will be that it matters to others. And what we're looking for in our world, right, especially as we go more and more towards technology addiction, more and more from abandoning relationships and abandoning ourselves, right? The core of our humanity is based on the key things. Do I feel like I belong? So back to that math lesson. If I started pushing through the lesson and not paying attention to myself and paying attention to my students and attuning to that, I didn't make the kids feel a sense of belonging, right? My stress mode is not going to help anybody feel a sense of belonging. The same thing is evident to me today in my role at Mindful Life Project, right? So I'm the executive director, which holds a lot of responsibilities, a lot of moving pieces. And if I forget to create that sense of belonging, which I do, right? When I'm in a meeting, right? When I'm talking to a coworker, when I might be rushing, trying to fix something. If I don't prioritize the relationship and that trust and safety and belonging first, I guarantee you the outcome is not going to be anywhere where it is helpful to anybody. That doesn't happen for sure. You can ask my colleagues. I guarantee you, even today, right? So this is a calling for us all to start thinking through if what matters most and prioritizing that is our own well-being, right? Mental, emotional, physical. If it's prioritizing our loved ones, right? And prioritizing those we spend the most time with and creating interconnectedness, compassion, care, and of course, productivity. Productivity to what though? That's where we start calling in the prioritization. Is it the end result that we're looking for to be a part of what we're talking to people about in the moment? If we focus on the end result, sometimes we miss the actual lesson or miss the actual opportunity. So as we continue to develop this practice, right, we really are focusing on prioritizing the present moment and prioritizing it with a lens of compassion and care, what we call heartfulness. So that's what we're going to be practicing today. We're going to be practicing open awareness, focusing on awareness as it arises. And when we get distracted, coming back, right, to the moment, non-judgmentally. Prioritizing this moment with compassion versus those moments yet to come, or those moments that went away before in the past. And then we can cultivate more and more of what matters in every moment. So let's go to our practice today. As always, find a comfortable position, comfortable place to sit, and let's drop in. You can repeat after me if you'd like. I've got my feet on the floor. I've got my spine in a line. I've got my hands in my lap and my heart to the sky. And then allowing our eyes to close if that feels comfortable. Dropping inwards. If a soft gaze feels better, down below, that's fine. And stay with the sound of the bell from beginning, middle, and end. And anytime we get distracted, just coming back to the sound without judgment. So allowing yourself to arrive fully. If it's later in the day, allowing the past part of this day to go. If it's earlier in the day, allowing the future to come when it comes, and just allowing ourselves to arrive in the here and now. Let's begin by cultivating a couple intentional deep breaths. Breathing in for about 4 seconds, breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathing out 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in again, 1, 2, 3, 4. A little more, and breathing out twice as long, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now allowing the breath to just go on in its natural flow. Remembering we're not trying to control the breath, judge the breath, we're just allowing it to be there. So just checking in, what's the next few cycles of breath like? Shallow or deep, no judgment. Starting low in the belly and all the way through the chest, expanding those lungs or not. Just watch the breath as it is. The breath is a great thermostat to how we're feeling emotionally. So just checking in, is the breath deeper and relaxed, shallower and contracted? But just see what happens when we bring awareness to it. Bring heartfulness to whatever the breath is like right now. Nurture a compassionate lens as we observe the breath. At our anchor spot, wherever we feel the breath the most, we can anchor in the belly, the rise, or the fall, or the chest, expansion, contraction, or simply at the nostrils, cooler air in, warmer air out. Just being able to watch our human experience with compassion is such a gift. So celebrate the moments that you're doing that and bring non-judgment to the moments where that's not happening. So in this practice connected to prioritizing what matters, just sit in that space right now. In the space of reflection. Has this day been able to bring you the keys? Radical acceptance of the present moment, loving awareness of what's happening in our experience, interconnectedness to others, and of course, the most important, love. And if that hasn't been there today, this is the beauty of the practice. We meet this experience as it is with kindness and compassion. So meet yourself wherever you are on the spectrum with that true heartfulness. The lens by which, if we've been so lost in stress mode, so overwhelmed by emotions, thoughts, and to-dos, they can realize that that's in the past. And then we can actually radically shift by being in the present. Or if we've been lost in the thinking about all the things that might or might not happen in the future, lost in the worry or concern of what might happen, we can gently arrive and welcome ourselves back to the here, to the now, to the present. Of course, as we prioritize the things that matter, we prioritize our wellness. Just take a little inventory. How is that mental state? How much have we invested in taking care of that mental activity? Have we met the thoughts and emotions with heartfulness and a welcoming? Have we pushed them away and resisted them? Have we focused on taking care of our physical well-being? Have we taken care of some exercise, some walks, some being able to move the body, dance, yoga, gardening, gym, right? And if we haven't, how's that show up in our experience right now? And then we can put the lens of prioritization. What's the body showing us right now? What's the body saying about, oh, I need this investment? Maybe I need to go get a massage, right? Like we can always allow the present moment to be what we prioritize. We can always invest in what the body, mind, and heart are telling us through the messages, through the felt sense of the body, through the thinking patterns, the emotional landscape of the prioritization, and all of which through a big lens of care, kindness, and love. So just continuing now with this awareness of the mind, that mental activity, the body, the felt sense of each part right now and what's showing up. Where are we seeing that the investment might need to happen? Is it the shoulders? Is it the jaw? Stomach? Chest? And just by doing this practice, you're prioritizing what matters. And as we kind of move and shift to the end of the practice, let's finish with picking a mindful skill to help us in the last minute to be present. If it's the breath, if it's sounds, if it's the body through a body scan, if it's mindful emotions, just naming emotions as they arise, if it's heartfulness, sending compassion, if it's thoughts, tracking thoughts without judging them, if it's gratitude. Pick one and land your awareness there. And meeting ourselves with kindness and compassion. Wherever we are, we can always come back home within us. We'll close practice with the sound of the bell as we always close. And then gently allowing yourself to come out of practice, allowing the eyes to flutter open, to stretch, to listen to the body, to listen to the heart, listen to the mind. All right. So in that practice, it's a little different than we've done in the past. We did a little reflection, right? We did a little checking in. Have we been prioritizing? What is prioritizing? if there was judgment that arose, if there was the inner critic, if there was the, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that, remember that that's okay for that to happen, but don't judge that, right? Like, we're not judging the judge. We're bringing compassion that that is the normal, natural wiring of the brain to have that negative bias, to have that inner critic, to have that conditioning, and meeting that with love, meeting that with what we call heartfulness, right? Deep compassion, love, and care. So moving from this practice today and moving to the end of the episode, I hope this brought in some awareness to you, maybe on this day where you haven't prioritized. There's so many ways we can prioritize what matters, but it all comes back to the present moment. It all comes back to how we're treating ourselves and how we're treating others. And often those are interconnected. If we're treating ourselves well, we're usually going to treat others well. If we're treating ourselves, that inner world, not so well, we're usually going to not treat others that well. So may you continue to practice, use this, share it, build it, and hopefully continue to grow this with us at Here and the Now podcast with your host, JG Larochette, and of course, with the Mindful Life Project. May you be well in mind, may you be well in body, may you be well in heart, and may you continue to find refuge in your own being, and may we continue to build this community. Hope to see you next time. And that's it for episode 10. Thanks so much.
I'm in the present, no judgment, I'm here and now. I'm in the present, no judgment, I'm here and now.